Welcome to the plaster carving demo for roughing out your form. This demo took me 2 hours and I've knocked the video down to a little over 15 minutes. As you can see, I've got my image traced on all sides using orthographic projection, and I'm going to start making all of my relief cuts. This is a pretty laborious process, and the farther you get into it, the more sides that you've cut, you're going to see that eventually chunks are going to start falling off, and that's totally normal. Remember that you want to cut at angles, so I'm starting at the edge, working my way down to the graphite line that I've traced, doing the same on the other, and then I continue cutting so that my blade is running parallel between the two sides. This is a really important feature. And starting with that angled cut, not only is it going to make the cutting go faster, but it's also going to make sure that you don't cut down too far. You can also see that I'm intermittently just using the tip of the saw to pull away impacted dust. On those deep cuts, dust is going to settle into the cut and it's going to get harder and harder to cut. So you can just flip the blade and just scrape the point in there and it'll pull the rest of it out. It can be helpful to pull the pencil out and retrace things once you start making a lot of cuts. It can get kind of easy to lose track of your silhouettes. You want to try to stay aware and pay attention to them. Once you've made relief cuts on all sides of your block, you can start cutting away really big pieces of excess material with the saw. This will be faster than using the chisel. You can lightly twist the saw to the side. It should be a very, very faint twist. If the plaster doesn't easily break, you can go in and make some small relief scores. There it goes. Once all the cutting is done, you can start using your chisel. You're just going to insert it in the cuts and lightly twist it, and it's going to pop off those flanges. You You shouldn't need to apply much force. They're just going to roll right off. As you finish knocking chunks of material off from the cuts, you think you're done, you want to go through and thoroughly check to make sure there isn't any impacted dust hiding any other grooves or cuts. Alright, so my block's basically roughed out now. I'm going to pull my foam demo piece here. It's not quite as refined, but it's the basic shape. I'm going to lift the block out of the frame here in a second. But once you've gotten this done, you can go ahead and transition over into the really aggressive files and the Sureform. And I like to just knock any areas off that I missed, like that bottom curve, and just get any, kind of really basic rough forming taken care of. But I'm going to quickly transition over into the chisel. So remember that the rough cutting was defining the outermost extents of the block. So my rough form, it has a basic lightness. It's the general mass that I need to carve, but there's still a lot of features that have not yet been defined. I recommend moving into one of the larger chisels and start defining those forms. This is going to allow you to make incisions and large removals that don't extend over the entire surface of the form. Remember what I showed you about the digging and gliding edge of the chisel? And remember to always cut away from yourself. You can also see that I'm using my thumb to help brace my hand sometimes, but be very aware of where your hands are and never ever cut towards yourself. As you start chiseling and refining the form, it would be a good idea to get a pencil out and draw details back in intermittently. It's easy to get lost within the form. You're not drawing any real details, but right now I'm just blocking out basic shapes, basic forms, and checking my proportion in comparison to the model. You can see that there's finally a likeness emerging from the form. You want to step back and view it from a distance. Right now there's some proportional issues. The head's a bit off. You want to lower the flange. Do remember that you're not replicating this exactly, but ideally you've resolved a lot of your composition in the clay model, and you want to bring that over in a relatively accurate way. Be open to modifications that need to happen. There's a pretty good chance that you might make some mistakes. Once something's cut away, it's gone. But just view that as an opportunity to improvise. And just stay engaged, stay aware. Usually at this stage, the process stops being quite so monotonous, and it gets to be really really engaging and kind of addicting. Time should start to just slip away, and you'll enjoy watching your form emerge. So I've been working at this for 2 hours exactly. On the recording. Got pulled away a few times by students, so it's actually a little bit less than that. It's going to be slow going at first, starting off with the cutting. Please don't get frustrated as you move into chiseling away. I think that it gets really exciting as the form starts to emerge. So I have my basic block ready, and now it's time to just move into the details.